The arrival scene 1. A grand entrance. Almost marble floors sparkled like a showroom for rich people's dreams. Crystal chandeliers dripped from the ceiling like frozen waterfalls, and fresh orchids lined the concierge desk with an arrogance only flowers that cost $600 per vase could have. Sandra Bullock stood at the entrance of the Vesper, the newest 7-star luxury hotel in the heart of Vienna. Think Downton Abbey meets space-age billionaire chic. She was in town not for a movie premiere, but for something closer to her heart, a 3-day charity summit supporting single mothers and refugee children, quiet, classy, and wildly publicized. She didn't arrive with an entourage, no makeup artist, no assistant to the assistant of the assistant, just Sandra, her signature dark sunglasses, and a carry-on that looked more like something your grandma would take to bingo than what Hollywood royalty would tote. As she stepped forward, the massive revolving door whooshed behind her, and the subtle scent of white tea and eucalyptus enveloped her. The receptionist looked up, and her nose wrinkled. Oh boy. Scene 2. Ice cold welcome. The receptionist Chloe was one of those people who looked like they'd been pulled straight from a fashion catalog titled glamorous and judgy. Blonde hair slicked into a bun so tight it could lift a car, red lipstick so sharp it could cut diamonds, and an aura of I know how to pronounce Hermes correctly, do you? Sandra approached the counter with a warm smile. Hi there. Checking in. Bullock. Sandra Bullock. Chloe didn't even flinch. She blinked once, twice, then gave a look that said, cute, trying the old celebrity name joke. I'm sorry, but this check-in is for Vesper clients only, Chloe said, voice dripping with polite sternness. Perhaps you're looking for the Riviera Suites next door. Sandra removed her sunglasses. Still nothing, just a dismissive glance. I have a reservation, Sandra said patiently. Under my name. Chloe sighed like Sandra had just asked her to build a sandcastle using nothing but tears and broken dreams. With dramatic fingers, she clicked her keyboard. 5 seconds passed, then 10. And then the moment Chloe's eyes locked with the screen, her entire soul seemed to glitch. Oh, she muttered. You're actually a Sandra gave her a knowing smirk. Yeah, that's Sandra Bullock. Scene 3. Humiliation in high definition. Oh, you'd think this is where Chloe would flip the script, maybe apologize, maybe offer a room upgrade, or at least, I don't know, a cookie? Nope. Chloe tried to recover with fake charm, but the whole lobby had already noticed. People were whispering. Phones were subtly pointed. One kid tugged at his dad's sleeve, whispering, "Is that the lady from Miss Congeniality?" Sandra wasn't. Humiliated because she was unrecognized. Fame fades and morphs, she was fine with that. But being treated like she didn't belong, that stung. Not because she was famous, but because this is how people get treated every day. Look the wrong way, dress the wrong way, speak with an accent, and suddenly, you're less than. That's what hurt. And that's when it happened. Enter Keanu Reeves. Scene 4. The gentle knight enters. Is there a problem here? Keanu's voice was so calm, so chill, that even the chandeliers seemed to exhale. Chloe turned and practically melted into her keyboard. Keanu Reeves didn't walk. He glided, like a Buddhist monk who just happened to moonlight as an action hero. Sandra chuckled under her breath. Well, if it isn't Neo himself. He offered her a lopsided grin. Trinity. People were now fully eavesdropping. A little girl dropped her lollipop in slow motion. Keanu didn't grandstand. He didn't yell. He didn't even frown. He just looked at Chloe and said, "She's one of the kindest human beings I know, and honestly, the only person here I'd trust with my Netflix password." Chloe looked like she wanted to vanish into her MacBook. Sandra tried to wave it off. "It's fine, really." But Keanu wasn't done. He turned to the people watching. It's easy to worship someone when they're on a red carpet, but the real test, how we treat each other when we think no one's watching. Boom. Mic drop. And that's when everything started to change. Scene 5. Upstairs. Downstairs an hour later, in her suite that smelled like cinnamon and billionaire dreams, Sandra sat on the edge of her bed and let out a long sigh. She wasn't angry. She wasn't sad. But something inside her had shifted. That moment at the counter had reminded her of a truth she'd always known, but somehow forgot. Being seen, truly seen, is one of the most powerful things we can offer someone. And tomorrow, when she stood on stage for the opening of the charity summit, she'd speak about it, not with anger, with clarity, and with heart, because humiliation, when met with grace, can become the birthplace of healing. Echoes of Kindness. Scene 1. The ripple effect begins a single moment. That's all it took. By the time Sandra Bullock finished unpacking in her suite at the Vesper, the incident downstairs had already grown legs, wings, and a pair of jet-propelled sneakers, and it sprinted straight into the wilds of the internet. It started innocently. An 18-year-old TikToker had been filming her overpriced matcha latte in the lobby when Keanu Reeves strolled into frame. Like a philosophical ghost, she caught it all. Chloe's side-eye, Sandra's calm dignity, Keanu's now legendary line, "The real test. How we treat each other when we think no one's watching." Less than 40 minutes later, the video was on YouTube. By breakfast the next morning, it had 2.3 million views, 8,400 duets, and 43 conspiracy theories, including one suggesting Keanu and Sandra were secret monks on a kindness mission from another dimension we can't confirm or deny. Scene 2. Coffee and consequence. Meanwhile, downstairs, Chloe the receptionist was sipping her now cold oat milk cappuccino like it had betrayed her entire bloodline. Her phone had been buzzing non-stop since 5:40 a.m. She thought it was just her bestie texting about last night's date. Turns out, it was the entire internet discovering her face, and not in a fun, "I went viral for rescuing kittens" kind of way. The hashtag #receptionistgate was trending in 12 countries. She scrolled through comments. Sandra deserved better. Period. Keanu is our modern Gandhi. This is why I have trust issues with luxury hotels. One particularly brutal tweet read, "Chloe out here trying to cancel kindness. Plot twist, kindness clapped back. Ouch." Chloe slumped back into her chair, eyes red-rimmed from a sleepless night, and whispered to no one, "How did I become the villain in a story I didn't even know I was in?" Scene 3. Breakfast with the Buddha. Upstairs, Keanu Reeves sat, cross-legged in a robe, quietly munching on a banana and journaling in a notebook labeled "Things That Matter More Than Fame." Sandra knocked once and walked in, wearing a bathrobe, holding a tray with coffee, and looking like she was born to give TED Talks before 8 a.m. "Good morning, enlightened one," she said, placing the tray down. "Your speech from the lobby is already being printed on t-shirts." He chuckled. "Great. Just what I need." My face next to a hashtag. Sandra sat across from him. "You do know the internet thinks we're on a kindness mission from another realm, right?" "Maybe we are," he said, deadpan. They both laughed. But underneath the chuckle was something deeper, something shifting. This wasn't about a viral moment anymore. Something real was waking up. Scene 4. The Whisper Network. Is the story of Sandra and Keanu versus the cold concierge exploded online. Something else started to quietly ripple through the real world. It started with an email, then another. Then a letter, handwritten, smudged ink, trembling cursive. "I work in a hotel in Minneapolis. Your story made me rethink how I treat the invisible people." Then another from Mumbai. "I clean rooms. People don't see me. But today I smiled more because Sandra didn't fight back. She stood with grace. That gives me hope." Then a voice. Message from Brazil, shaky but powerful. "I saw what happened. Thank you for showing the world that kindness is not weakness." By the end of the day, Sandra's assistant had to create a separate email folder called Grace Letters. There were over 900 in less than 24 hours, and they kept coming. Scene 5. The manager's meltdown. Not everyone was vibing with the kindness revolution, though. Enter Mr. Franz Eckhart, the hotel manager. A man so obsessed with reputation, he ironed his shoelaces. He stormed into the concierge office like a hurricane. "Wearing Prada, Chloe," he barked. She jumped. She'd just read a meme about her and a cartoon villain from The Emperor's New Groove. "Yes, sir. We are being raked across the digital coals," he shouted. "Do you realize the Duchess of Luxembourg canceled her reservation? Do you know how hard it is to get royalty to overlook our scandalous minibar prices?" Chloe looked like a wilted daffodil. Eckhart slammed a printout on the desk. It was the transcript of Keanu's comment. Then another. The first post in A viral Reddit thread titled, "Sandra Bullock got snubbed. What would you have done?" Chloe whispered, I didn't mean to, but he cut her off. Fix it. Or pack. And just like that, the wrath of Yelp had spoken. Scene 6, the turning point that evening. As the golden sun dipped behind Vienna's skyline, the charity summit began. 1,000 people gathered in the grand ballroom of the Vesper. Chandeliers sparkled. Waiters floated like tuxedoed ballerinas. And in the middle of it all, Sandra took the stage. She didn't speak from notes. She didn't perform. She just opened her heart. Yesterday, I was reminded of something I've spent years forgetting, that dignity isn't granted by status, and kindness isn't owed to the rich. I've seen too many people judge by how they look, what they wear, or where they come from. We walk through life assigning value to people based on what they can do for us, but real grace is how we treat those who can do nothing for us. Silence, then thunderous applause, then tears. Keanu, standing at the back, gave a small, reverent nod. Because she didn't just say it, she lived it. A housekeeper's secret. Scene 1, Rosa, room 309. And the broken remote long before the hotel's espresso machines began their hissy-fit symphonies, before the concierge slipped into tailored suits and brighter-than-thou attitudes, there was Rosa. Rosa Hernandez had worked at the Vesper for 4 years, 11 months and 22 days. She could clean a luxury suite faster than a politician dodging accountability. Her arms were strong, her hands cracked from chemicals, and her smile was the kind you don't earn from spa days or skincare serums. It was the kind born from survival. Room 309 had just checked out, and Rosa was doing what she always did, quietly, efficiently, invisibly. She flipped pillows, scrubbed bathtubs, whispered Spanish prayers over lost earrings and half-eaten Toblerones left behind. And that's when she saw it. A crumpled photo in the trash can. Black and white. Folded a dozen times. She picked it up. It was her. Sandra Bullock. Dressed as Leon Tui from The Blind Side. Rose's breath caught. The photo wasn't signed. But she didn't need it to be. Because this wasn't just a movie. To Rosa, it was the reason she hadn't given up. Scene 2. Flashback. The motel room and a paper-thin hope. 8 years ago, Rosa sat on a creaky motel bed in Arizona with 2 children asleep beside her. And one terrifying truth. She was alone. No family. No green card. No idea what came next. Her husband had left without warning. No note. Just a cold silence and $11 in their bank account. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. But that night, as she flicked through the motel's ancient TV set with the energy of a dying light bulb, she landed on a scene. A woman yelling at a high school coach. "You threatened my son. You threatened me." It was The Blind Side. Rosa had never seen a white woman stand up for someone who didn't look like her. She'd never seen a mother speak like that, fight like that. She cried. Ugly, sobbing, messy tears. Not because she was sad, but because, for the first time in weeks, she felt strong again. And that feeling carried her all the way to Vienna. Scene 3. A quiet encounter. Back in the present, Rosa did something she'd never done before. She knocked. Room 1214. Sandra Bullock's suite. Her heart pounded in her chest like a salsa drum line. Sandra answered in jeans and a messy bun, sipping tea from a chipped mug that looked suspiciously like it came from the staff lounge. Double quotes high. Rosa said, voice shaking, I clean. I work here. Housekeeping. I don't mean to bother you." Sandra smiled. "You're not bothering me." Rosa handed her the photo. "I saw this, and I wanted to say thank you. For that movie. For how you were in it. For being strong. I needed that." Sandra looked at the photo, then at Rosa. And in that moment, something in the air softened. "I think I needed that too," Sandra said quietly. They sat down at the small table near the window. 2 women. 2 stories. 1 shared moment of truth. Scene 4. Rosa's secret story. For the next hour, Rosa spoke. She told Sandra about escaping abuse, about learning English from hospital brochures, about getting her kids into school using forged documents, then replacing them with real ones once they had asylum. She told her about sleeping in a laundry room, and dreaming of one day affording a bed with real sheets. She told her about how sometimes she used the hotel's discarded flower petals to make her daughters smile when they were homesick. Sandra listened, not with celebrity pity, with real attention, and when Rosa finished, Sandra whispered, "You're a hero." Rosa laughed through tears. "No, I just mop floors." "No," Sandra said, wiping her own eyes. "You kept going. That's the definition of heroic." Scene 5, a plan in motion. Later that day, Sandra called Keanu. "Hey, what's up?" he asked. "I want to do something," she said. "Something real." He knew that tone. It was her "let's change the system, but make it classy" voice. "I want to start a fund. Quietly. No press. For immigrant mothers working invisible jobs. In hotels." Keanu grinned on the other end. "Count me in. And I want Rosa to be the first one we help," she added. By nightfall, they had already made calls. Quiet donors, trusted lawyers, a non-profit advisor who owed Keanu a favor after he'd once pulled his niece out of a ditch in a snowstorm. Long story. They called it the Rosa Initiative. Scene 6, Rosa finds out next morning. Rosa arrived for work like usual, tied up bun, strong hands, silent pride. But this time, something was different. In the staff room was a small box. Inside, a letter of full legal support for her citizenship application, a scholarship for her daughters, a deposit for an apartment her own, and a handwritten note. "Heroes deserve homes too. Thank you for inspiring me to remember why I do what I do." "Sandra," Rosa cried. The kind of cry that heals. The kind that doesn't come from sadness but from finally being seen. The manager's choice. Scene 1, the boardroom blitz of panic wore cologne. Mr. Franz Eckhart would be a walking fragrance counter. It was 7:15 a.m., and the hotel's glass-walled boardroom felt like a terrarium for stressed-out executives, PR managers, a lawyer who looked like he hadn't slept since the Obama administration, and a digital risk consultant who insisted on calling viral tweets heat clusters. Franz slammed a printout of yesterday's booking cancellations on the table. "We've lost 53 suites in 24 hours, at an average nightly rate of €1,700. That's," the consultant chirped, "approximately a minor yacht." Everyone glared. He took a long sip of sadness from his energy drink. Franz pinched the bridge of his nose. "We need a head on a platter. The internet demands a public sacrifice." Cue collective side-eye toward Chloe, who sat at the end of the table shrinking like a cotton shirt in hot water. Scene 2, a knock nobody expected. "Excuse me." A calm voice floated through the door. Sandra Bullock stepped in jeans, sneakers, zero makeup, maximum purpose. Behind her, Keanu Reeves, coffee in hand, wearing yesterday's black t-shirt that somehow still looked designer. The lawyer muttered, "Oh dear, the celebrities have unionized." Sandra smiled. "Franz, mind if we join?" He gestured stiffly. "Of course, Ms. Bullock, Mr. Reeves." They sat Sandra directly across from Chloe. Keanu leaned back, ankle on knee, picture of Zen. Scene 3, the offer no one saw coming. Franz cleared his throat. "Ms. Bullock, as you can see, we're handling the disciplinary." Sandra raised a hand. "I don't want Chloe fired." Chloe's jaw almost hit the table. Franz blinked. "Pardon," Keanu chimed in, voice like warm maple syrup. "We're here to propose an alternative growth plan," the risk consultant whispered. "Is that Hollywood for lawsuit?" Sandra chuckled. "Relax. It's Hollywood for let's try something better than blame." She slid a folder across the table. Inside is a blueprint for a 3-week pilot we're calling the Vesper Kindness Residency. Key points: empathy workshops, led by trauma-informed counselors. Taught after hours, overtime paid. Shadow 4 a day. Execs spend 1 day. Working hospitality's lowest visibility roles: kitchen prep, laundry, housekeeping. Open mic testimonial nights. Staff share personal stories in a safe space. 3 guests invited to listen each night. The Rosa Fund, a hotel-matched grant for any employee pursuing education or immigration fees. Sandra folded her hands. Chloe participates as a trainee, not an example. At the end, management decides her fate, armed with context, not outrage. Keanu took a slow sip. "We'll cover 60% of program costs anonymously." The rest comes from a one-night charity gala in your ballroom." He winked. "Spoiler, it'll trend." Silence thickened. You could hear the consultant's energy drink fizz. Scene 4. Franz's cracked mirror. At first, Franz's expression said absolutely not. But something twitched behind his eyes, a memory he kept buried beneath expensive suits. 29 years ago, he'd washed dishes in a Salzburg inn. One winter night, a Mactor D called him background. Furniture. He'd promised himself he'd never be background again and hardened ever since. Now he looked at Chloe shaking, humiliated, and saw his younger self, minus the mustache and questionable mullet. Franz exhaled. 3 weeks. Results or repercussions? Agreed. Sandra extended her hand. Agreed. He shook it. History pivoted on a handshake. Scene 5. Week 1. Baptism by mopping. Day 1. Execs don polo shirts stamped. Guest experience intern. Franz spent 6 hours folding duvet covers with Rosa. He discovered the truths. Hospital laundry rooms are hotter than the surface of Mercury. Rosa folds a fitted sheet like origami magic. During break, she told him about the motel, the asylum fight, the flower petal smiles. He listened, really listened for the first time in years. Day 3, Chloe lugged luggage, fetched soy-free, oak-smoked, dolphin-friendly ice cubes, and most humbling polished lobby marble while tourists stepped around her like she was a floor lamp. That night, she cried in the staff bathroom, not from shame now, but from finally understanding invisibility. Keanu found her there. He has a mysterious radar for emotional meltdowns. Sat cross-legged on the tile, listened, said only, "Pain is a great teacher, don't drop out." Scene 6. Testimonial night. Truth in a ballroom. Chandeliers dimmed. A Mick stood alone on stage. First up, Rosa. She told her motel story, voice steady, accent proud. Halfway through, the pastry chef wept into his chef's coat. A bellhop hugged the security guard. Franz hid watery eyes behind reading glasses he didn't need. Chloe was third. She walked gingerly, like shame weighed 50 pounds. My mother was a housekeeper. I changed my accent, my name, pronunciation, everything because I hated being overlooked. Yesterday, I did to Sandra what people once did to Mom. Her voice cracked. "I'm sorry." She stepped down. The ballroom erupted in applause. Not absolution, acknowledgement of the courage it takes to own your mess. Scene 7. The choice. 3 weeks later, the boardroom met again. This time, coffee smelled like possibility. Franz addressed the staff via internal livestream. "Our brand was never our marble or Michelin stars. It's our people. Chloe will stay on probation. Yes, but also as a peer mentor in the Kindness Residency's next cohort. And effective. Immediately. 2% of every suite booking funds the Rosa Initiative for frontline staff across Vienna." He paused, because dignity, like Wi-Fi, should be free and accessible to every guest employee or otherwise. The feed exploded with heart emojis. The consultant muttered, "Heat cluster positive." Franz Eckhart, age 56, professionally uptight. No one dreams of being a hotel manager. Okay, maybe a very specific kind of person, the kind who alphabetizes their shampoo, who considers tie color a battle strategy, who can identify the scent of eucalyptus just by squinting. That's Franz. He didn't like chaos, didn't like feelings, or surprises, or Twitter. And right now, Franz was experiencing all three. The hotel was imploding. People weren't just canceling rooms, they were writing blog posts about it. One particularly brutal headline read, "Luxury Hotel Shames Sandra Bullock. Keanu Reeves declares emotional war with charm." Franz had survived guest tantrums, broken elevators, and one terrifying encounter with a rogue peacock in the penthouse garden. But nothing, not even the great ice sculpture meltdown of 2018, had prepared him for this. He needed someone to blame. He needed someone to fix it. He needed a plan. To the boardroom of polite panic. The boardroom smelled like fear and freshly brewed espresso. Everyone had opinions. Everyone wanted Chloe fired. Everyone expected Franz to do something bold, which was hilarious, because Franz hadn't done anything bold since that time in '97. He wore navy socks with a gray suit. Then Sandra Bullock walked in like she owned the moon, followed by Keanu Reeves, who somehow looked like he'd been meditating inside a waterfall made of wisdom and leather jackets. Franz stared at them like a deer at a tech conference. Why are they here? What do they want? A lawsuit? A tweet apology? A live-streamed confrontation involving violin music? He reached for his emergency breath mint and braced for impact. The proposal, I don't want her fired, Sandra said. Chloe blinked. Franz nearly swallowed his mint. Instead, she continued, I'd like to suggest something different, not punishment. Transformation. Franz's eyebrow arched so high it almost filed for orbit. Sandra and Keanu explained the kindness residency. Workshops, story sharing, executive humility therapy, a gala, a fund named after Rosa. The idea was absurd, sentimental, logistically painful. And oddly beautiful. This isn't policy, it's poetry, Franz thought. Dangerous, messy, exactly the kind of thing his 23-year-old self would have adored. But that version of Franz had been silenced long ago, or so he thought. For flashback, the forgotten Franz Salzburg. Rain fell sideways. Young Franz hair longer. Heart softer mopped the marble floor of the Hotel Lindenhof's kitchen corridor. A guest stormed past and said, without looking, move, you're blocking the luxury. That sentence had lived in Franz's spine ever since. It hardened him, trained him to disappear unless wearing a suit and controlling the thermostat of everyone else's emotions. Back then, he promised himself, never be the one cleaning, be the one with the clipboard. He kept that promise, but lately, it felt hollow. The crack in the clipboard. Franz returned to his office after the meeting, sat in silence, looked at his reflection in the window. What was power, really? The ability to fire someone, or the courage to transform a mistake into meaning? He opened a drawer and pulled out an old employee badge from his first job. Franz, housekeeping, junior assistant trainee. He stared at it. Then he made his choice. The announcement. Days later, Franz stood in the lobby, not in his suit, but in the same exact uniform he wore in 1992. He took a breath and picked up a mop. Gasps. Phones raised. Sandra peeked from the mezzanine and smiled. So did Rosa. Then Franz did something he hadn't done in years. He spoke without notes. This place was built on invisible hands. It's time we saw them. Then he motioned for Chloe, who stood beside the new Rosa Initiative sign, ready to begin her first humility rotation in bell service. In the hotel, this monolith of ego and elegance began to breathe again. The receptionist's redemption, 10:02 a.m. hotel lobby. Day 1 of Chloe's final test. Chloe stands behind the front desk again. Same uniform, same marble floor. But now, she feels like she's wearing someone else's skin. I am a fraud wearing foundation. Everyone's watching her differently now, not with admiration, with expectation. Like she's one wrong smile away from going viral again. The marble floor feels like it's judging her. She glances to the side. Franz is casually pretending to look at floral arrangements, but is 100% eavesdropping. Sandra's in a corner chair, reading something that suspiciously looks like an employee handbook titled Redemption as a Team. Sport. Okay, Chloe, no pressure. Just try not to ruin anyone's day, or soul, or Twitter following. Snapshot number 1, room 702. Mr. Desmond, retired colonel, age 83. The man is a fossil in a fedora. He barks instead of speaks. Chloe's job is to escort him to the lounge and make sure he doesn't trip on the carpet he already hates. He sneers, you got a tattoo. Thought this was a 5-star place. Chloe's fists want to curl, but her heart has been through a 3-week boot camp in empathy. This isn't about you. It's about him. So she smiles softly. I do, sir. It's of my mother's name. She cleaned hotels for 20 years. Silence. Colonel Desmond exhales. The fire dies. My wife was a waitress for 43. Miss her every day. They walk together in silence. Chloe steadies his elbow when his knee stutters. No tweets, no applause, but something softens. 12:38 p.m. The pool deck. Chloe versus. Screaming child is maybe 7 years old. His name's Jax, and he's currently in full nuclear meltdown mode because his pool float deflated and the water is too blue. Chloe rushes over to help his mother. WHO looks like she hasn't exhaled since the Clinton administration. I'm so sorry, she says between panicked breaths. He's autistic. The change in color set him off. You don't have to. Chloe kneels down. Her voice drops into something low and slow like a lullaby covered in calm. Hey, Jax. I totally get it. Bright blue can be loud, huh? The boy blinks, looks at her, still crying, but quieter now. She gives him a towel like it's a cape. You're a superhero now. Super float man. He wraps himself in it like armor. She hands him a rubber duck from her apron pocket, one of the emergency truce items. She insisted on adding to her shift. Kit. The mom looks at her with eyes full of thank you she can't say out loud. No one claps, but Chloe's hands are shaking anyway. Snapshot number 2. The billionaire guest nobody dares correct mer. Tagger, jet-setter, thin mustache, power-walking hedge fund owner. He checks in late, demands an upgrade, and starts talking over Chloe with phrases like, no, sweetheart, you don't understand. He called me sweetheart. I've never wanted to eat my own rage before. She inhales, then says, I do understand, Mr. Tagger. I also understand you requested a 3 p.m. check-in, and we're doing our best to honor that in light of your flight delay. That slight pause on flight delay is a subtle read, and everyone knows it. Even he does. This smirk tightens. Then it vanishes. You know what? Just a send-up tea. Strong. Like your poker face. He walks off. Chloe exhales for 5 full seconds. Growth isn't about not feeling the burn. It's about learning to cook with it. Sandra's observation notes yes. She's keeping some. Day 1. Chloe de-escalated 3 VIP complaints, helped a guest with language barriers by using Google Translate, and didn't cry in the employee break room. That's progress. Day 2. She offered her lunch to a security guard who forgot his shift. Subtle kindness. No hashtags. No witnesses. That's real. Day 3. Found her giving water to a janitor after hours and asking him about his dream job. He said bus driver. She told him that was very cool. It is. Evening. The mirror moment. Back in her tiny studio apartment, Chloe stares into the bathroom mirror. You don't get a standing ovation for unlearning cruelty. You don't get fireworks for unlearning entitlement. She sees herself now. Tattoo. Tear smudge. Name tag half crooked. You just get to wake up tomorrow a little less afraid of who you are, and a little more certain that you're becoming someone better. That night, she writes an email to her mom. They haven't spoken in 2 years. Subject, I'm starting over, and I'd like you to see who I'm becoming. The Gala of Grace prologue. One night only. The chandeliers are humming. The glasses are catching the light like secrets. The guest list sparkles with dignitaries, dreamers, and the doubted. But this isn't your average red carpet affair. There's no paparazzi. No who are you wearing. Just a ballroom full of people who've been seen and those who finally learned how to see. Tonight, kindness isn't a charity. It's the guest of honor. Echo 1. Rosa. The bloom. Rosa stands in the back. Not as a staff member. Not in uniform. She wears a soft lavender dress that her daughters helped her pick out. Her hair is pinned with a silver clip shaped like a flower gifted by Sandra herself. She holds a folded piece of paper in her hand. It's her speech. She's been rehearsing it for days. But when her name is called and the crowd claps, real clapping, the kind that reaches your ribcage, she walks to the mic and does not open it. Instead, she speaks from her story. In Spanish accented English, I used to clean this ballroom at 4 a.m. I never imagined one day I would speak in it, not with gloves on, but with a name, a voice, and dignity. The translator doesn't need to finish. Everyone understands. Echo 2. Franz. The mirror. Franz stands by the dessert table, quietly refusing the sofa. He's not the star tonight, but he finally understands that leadership isn't about standing above. It's about standing among. He watches Rosa speak and feels a strange warmth crawling up his spine, something like humility. But richer, when Chloe passes him, he nods. And for the first time in hotel history, he smiles without rehearsing it. Echo 3. Chloe. The walk. Chloe walks through the ballroom with a tray of tiny desserts, not because she has to, but because she asked to. Tonight, she's not the main act. She's the quiet one, offering kindness in small bites. Mini cheesecakes, soft apologies, real eye contact. A little girl tugs on her sleeve. It's Jax's sister. Are you the nice lady? From the pool, Chloe kneels. I hope so. She looks up and sees her mother standing near the doors. Tearful, proud, they lock eyes. Redemption isn't a spotlight. It's a look that says, I see who you've become. Echo 4. Keanu, the ghost with the camera. Keanu's not on stage. He's not even at a table. He's behind a vintage film camera someone loaned him, recording everyone else. Rosa laughing, Franz hugging a dishwasher, Chloe refilling someone's glass without looking away from their eyes. He captures not perfection but presence. Later, he'll edit the footage into a 90-second short film called Invisible Scene. He won't narrate it. He'll let the moments speak for themselves, because the real revolution is quiet. Echo 5. Sandra. The letter. She's asked to give a closing speech, but instead, Sandra steps up to the mic and unfolds a letter. Dear me, if you're reading this, it means you've survived something humiliating, something unfair, something loud in public, but you didn't retaliate. You rebuilt, you didn't shame, you shepherded, and in doing so, you turned a headline into a legacy. She looks up. This isn't my story, it's ours. The crowd rises, not for her, but for the invisible people who finally took their seats at the table. Echo 6. You, the witness. Maybe you're just watching. Maybe you're scrolling past this, but something lingers, doesn't it? A whisper inside you that says, you've been Chloe, you've been Franz, you've been Rosa, you've been the one who watched, and maybe now you're ready to be the one who acts. Maybe kindness doesn't need a camera. Maybe it just needs you. YouTube-style motivational transcript. Final chapter. Piano fades into soft orchestra. Footage flickers, Rosa's hands clutching the mic, Chloe wiping a tear. Keanu. Behind the lens. It started with a cold stare. It ended with warm hands. From humiliation to healing. From silence to speech. One woman showed us grace under fire. One man reminded us kindness is courage. One housekeeper bloomed. One manager bent before he broke. One receptionist rewrote her legacy. This is not just a story. This is an invitation to see the invisible, to forgive before the fire, to walk slower, softer, with more humanity in your wake. You're not too late. You're right on time. The end.